founders gave us freedom of the press because they knew liberty can't survive without truth tellers. But what happens when those entrusted with truth sell it to the highest bidder? When journalists trade facts for favors and politicians reward them with access, influence, and profit? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the oldest partnerships in American history, the unholy alliance between the press and those in power. This is episode 10, Truth on Trial. Welcome back to Underground Pulpit, where culture and Christianity collide, and we aren't afraid to take on the tough topics. I'm Pastor Peter, and these are my friends Adam and Carla, as usual. And tonight we're here to talk about this unholy alliance, as I said earlier, between the press and those in power. You see, since the beginning, the press has claimed to speak for the people. But again and again and again, powerful voices have spun the story for their own gain. Whether it's war profiteering, insider trading, influence peddling, nepotism, and always it's the truth and the people that get trampled in the process. So tonight we're going to look at the men of the press, their allies in the government, and how together they put the truth itself on trial. What do you guys think about this topic tonight as we move forward?
Oh, me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Usually it's always you.
I always go first. It's your
okay,
turn.
Fine. I'll go first. It is definitely, it doesn't go back in time. Oh boy, what am I trying to say here? It's very up to date and relevant because it's always there. It's always been the same thing over and over. And we're right in the middle of it right now with how things are, with how divided the media is, and how lopsided it is also.
Yeah.
I mean, since I've been alive, I feel like it's the worst it's ever been, but it's a long spiritual battle, you know?
Yeah. It is. It definitely is a spiritual battle, for sure. It's also a battle between those in power and power and influence, and those of us on the other end of it, right? The people who get, like I said, get kind of pushed aside or trampled about in the process. And I'm going to go way back. Okay, I'm going to start by taking us all the way back to the founding. If you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Sure, not brushed up on my American history. But,
you're not brushed up on it.
But I'll do my best.
You'll do your best. All right. Because this does go all the way back to the founding. I mean, you guys are familiar with the Bill of Rights, right? They're that brushed up on American history, and the First Amendment, which promises or guarantees a couple of very important freedoms. A couple of those being free speech, right? Which specifically was meant to be political speech, right? And a free press, a press that is free of government oversight, and the ability to look into and write about and hold accountable everybody from the highest office to the very lowest. That is what was meant by freedom of the press. But back in 1798, which is just a few years after they ratified this Constitution for the United States, John Adams signed into law what they called the Alien and Sedition Acts. Have you guys heard of this thing?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last time.
Yeah, we did just a little bit about it. And we find as we look at this that even the newspapers of the day, we know that our press today is very, very split, right? We got stuff on the right, we got stuff on the left. You got Democrats, Republicans, left, right, however you want to look at it. It was the same way back then. There were the Federalists, and there were the Democratic Republicans. Yeah, they had one party that was Democratic Republican. Right? And the papers were split between these two things, right? And each one fell on a different side of this particular act, this Alien and Sedition Act. And what this was, if you believe it or not, it was a group of 4 laws that were passed under John Adams. He signed them, that were, among other things, to make it harder for immigrants to become citizens. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Right? Gave the president the power to deport foreigners.
But that long ago, how do you determine all that?
Right.
Because it was a nation of immigrants.
They had a way to figure it out, right? And wasn't a nation of
I don't know
immigrants
how
at
it's
that point?
been.
I think these were mostly people who had been here, who had been born here at this point. I think mass immigration hadn't really started at this point. There was some, foreign mercenaries and things that were there, but they mostly went home after the revolution. Right? But the third one, or the other part of this was they criminalized criticism of the government.
I remember that one.
Right? Which is kind of strictly what freedom of speech was meant to be. Your ability to criticize the government as opposed to get thrown in jail for it. Adams claimed that this was to protect the nation during tensions with France. But in practice, he used it to silence his political opponents, especially those on the other side of him. He was a Federalist. Thomas Jefferson was a Democratic Republican, and it was Jefferson's Democratic Republicans that he was using this act to silence, right? Sound kind of familiar to anything you guys have experienced recently?
In a way, although really all you hear from the government is criticism of the government. They're really not focused on their own pros. They're mainly focused on the cons of the other side. Because there's really not many pros to either side.
I was just thinking that both sides have a disposition of using the laws to persecute the other side, whatever they are, right? We saw that during the Biden administration. We saw them using the laws to go after Republicans, whatever they were, whether it was J6ers or whether it was Donald Trump. They used various laws to go after them, but didn't apply the laws equally to people in their own camp or on their own side. And
I feel like they both do that.
and that's what I'm saying. But to say, the other side does the same thing, right? Now that the Republicans are in power, you're seeing a lot of the same, maybe not exactly the same, but it's a similar thing where they're using the laws to their advantage to take care of their opponents, if you will. So this goes all the way back to the founding. This isn't a new idea.
It's like tug of war.
Yeah, and the press is complicit in it rather than using their franchise to hold everybody accountable. They take sides, right? And they puff up their side and they tear down the other side, and we see that in the press today, right? Thank goodness, I think that we have an alternative media now, but even the alternative media tends to fall into various camps too, and we all end up in our little bubbles, getting feedback.
Algorithms.
Our little algorithm
Algorithm
bubbles,
bubble.
right? So this is nothing new. It goes all the way back. Are you curious at all what happened with this act?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened with this was there were 4 parts: the Sedition Act, the Naturalization Act, the Aliens Friends Act, and the Alien Enemies Act. Okay. So the Sedition Act, which was the speech law that I talked about, that Adams used to jail his opponents, it expired in March of 1801, and Thomas Jefferson, who became president after John Adams, pardoned all those who were convicted. So it didn't have any really long-lasting effect, but it happened. It really did. The Naturalization Act, which meant that immigrants had to have a longer residency before they could become citizens, that was repealed in 1802. Okay. The Aliens Friends Act expired in 1800. So none of these things lasted very long, except the Alien Enemies Act, which is still on the books today. Right? This is the act that lets the president detain or deport citizens of hostile nations during wartime. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, didn't they just do that to people?
Yeah, they did it very extensively during World War II, right?
Oh, okay, I was thinking recent.
Recently, well, we're not at war with anyone,
No, but they were,
Cartels, they can,
but
Sure.
the cartels and things like that. You think about, mostly you think about the Japanese, right?
yeah.
During World War II, they locked them up in various concentration camps throughout the West. Kind of a stain on America, in our supposed love of liberty, and we just lock these people up because they look different than we do. They also did hit Germans and Italians, also
really?
during the war. Yeah,
Oh, geez.
for sure.
I don't hear about,
You don't hear much about that.
I
No,
heard
huh?
about Japanese, but I didn't know they did that.
So even in the early years of the Republic, all the way back to 1798, 1800, leaders bent the Constitution to protect themselves. And it really shows us how fragile our liberties are, even going all the way back. I mean, these were the founders who fought in the Revolution. They were tough hombres, and yet they still, even though they've spent years and years hammering at this Constitution, and any more years getting it ratified, were willing to just bend it to get their own way. How much worse must it be today? I think when power overrides principle. Any thoughts about that?
when they declared that MS-13 and all those gangs were terrorist organizations, right? Wouldn't that apply to them now, that same act?
I don't know how the Aliens Enemy Act applies there. As my reading of it was, it applied to hostile nations during wartime. Now that could be modified, or the Supreme Court could rule on something like that. But we're not really at war with anybody technically, right? The Congress is the only entity we have that can actually declare war on someone, and no one, as far as I know, has declared war on us. And I think if they did, we would declare war back. So I don't know exactly how that Alien Enemies Act. I suppose they would probably try it and then see what happened.
Weren't they deporting people, though, that went to protest, like Palestine protests?
Yeah, I think those were already illegal aliens to begin with.
Well, I thought they were, like, here on school visas.
I don't know. Could be.
What if you went to Palestine and did that?
I'm sure you'd be sent back.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm
Or would
just
you be
asking
sliced up
questions.
Yeah,
and
would
sent
you be
back in
back?
little
Would you-
pieces?
Would you be sent to a gulag or
Possibly.
or worse?
Sure, yeah. I don't know.
I mean,
To be honest, I can see why people are so flabbergasted by sending these people away from our country, because it's a great country compared to other countries.
sure.
So when you compare it to other countries, why are you pro countries that are so bad? And why is it such a horrible thing to send them there, away from here, if this is such a bad place?
Well, I think. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think partly if you look at, for instance, Muslim immigrants or Muslim refugees. Let's talk about refugees, not immigrants, since that's probably more like what we're talking about here under these Aliens, Friends, and Enemies Acts, right? Are more refugees than immigrants, because immigration is a different kind of status, right? You fill out paperwork, you apply for things, and you hope to become a citizen generally as an immigrant, right? As opposed to a refugee, someone who's just fleeing something awful,
Yeah.
right? And you're looking for a safe place to land. And I think if you look at particularly Muslim refugees, I don't think there are 56 Muslim majority countries in the world. Okay, of the 200 or so countries there 56 of them are majority Muslim, but none of those countries accept Muslim refugees. Right? So Muslim refugees come here, or they go to England, or they go to Ireland, or they go to Germany, or they go to other democratic republics. But then once they get there, they go with the intent of changing that country into an Islamic country. That's their goal.
That's their religion. I mean,
Right. So So they're not coming because they love America. They're coming because they're spreading their belief system.
Well, they're running from their country.
They're running from whatever war is happening in their country to bring something. And are they really running, or are they just
Well, that's the thing too.
using our own system against us to
Right.
get into our country? And I think that's probably something that the press ought to be looking into, but they don't.
It's so funny how different things are. If like the left is pro bring in everybody, if they did that right after 9/11, they would have been probably destroyed by anyone,
Right.
either party,
Yeah.
like right away. They would have been beyond canceled. They probably would have had death threats and all this other stuff, pro-terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
But now no one has a clue.
Right.
All these kids in college, they had no idea what it was like.
Yeah, they weren't even alive during 9/11, so they don't remember any of that stuff. And the other thing is that I mean, look at New York now. They're getting ready to elect a Muslim communist mayor.
No.
You know.
And it's not so much that part of it. Like, it is odd to me because that's, but
That's one way to put it.
they don't even know what it was like. They weren't even conscious about it, but that's the movement. The world is, the media is moving. The media knows what happened. The media was there.
Right.
Why would they change so drastically in such a short amount of time? Right? I mean, I'm not saying that, because there's so much surrounding 9/11 that is shady on on the Republican side at the time.
Right.
When who the bad guy was working with us at one point.
Right.
So it's not as though, is it correct in their reasoning? It's who controls their thoughts.
Yeah,
It's
it
the
all
media.
feels like
Right.
The media 100%
whatever the narrative
controls people's thoughts.
And well, I think a lot of that is also, especially when we're talking about these younger people, it's set up by their schooling, right, which we're going to talk about some next week. So we don't need to get into that, really veer into that too hard today. But I think it has a lot to do with it, right? And when your schooling is radical, and your teachers are radical.
We were just talking about that on the way here. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
You know, it's going to be a lot easier for you to take on a radical mindset of your own. Right?
But that's the thing, it's not their own.
Right.
They would, I don't think people would ever come to these conclusions just by looking around in the world that they have access to with their own eyes.
Right.
A lot of the people that I know that are coming at me with the left theories that are the most prominent at the moment, I'm like, where would you have ever learned to think like that? Especially if you know what they were like growing up and the people they were around growing up.
Right.
And then for them to change so drastically once they enter into college, it's like, come on.
Makes you wonder if there's something in the food, huh?
Well, there's got to be.
Who knows?
What else is weird? I just want to bring up. I ate a friend over the weekend.
You ate a friend?
I had a friend
Oh, sorry.
over the weekend.
It did sound like she said it.
I ate a friend. No, I had a friend over the weekend. Asked me if I saw something or a news article. And she was like, "Oh my goodness, are you watching what's going on with Trump?" And I was like, I have no idea. So I Google Trump and go to news, and I can't find anything weird. And then she sends me an article saying he was missing for 3 days, and people are speculating that he was dead. And that did not pop up on my feed.
Right.
And I'm not like I don't support either party, okay? I'm not going to lie. But it's not that algorithms aren't feeding me that article,
Right.
but it's feeding other people, like a bunch of people that article, and I never saw it. And this was supposed to be kind of big news, I guess.
Huh.
All it takes
What-
is a few clicks.
It's crazy how
change
the
your,
algorithms are.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because I did see that, maybe not that particular article, but
Yeah.
I saw some news about that Trump had been missing for some number of days, and people were speculating that. I didn't see they were speculating he was dead, but they were speculating that he had a stroke or these various things. I'm like,
Well, she got a lot of it. I didn't get anything.
so,
I just was like, wow, we're so controlled,
yeah,
you know?
That's the key. We're so controlled, and we are,
Yeah.
right? Because there's a book out there that maps out our psyche and everything that we should watch out for, right?
Yep.
right?
And if that book knows it, then it's built in to us as human beings. And who knows that book better than most humans? The enemy.
Sure.
So they have to be using their own quote unquote algorithm to control people's thoughts, sway them one way or the other. You know?
That's why I think it's a spiritual battle. There is the ruler of this world, technically, right? Who's trying to sway everybody against the truth. That's what it seems to me that's going on. The most logical explanation is the truth.
Yeah.
But hey, you can find this for free. There's an app. It's called Holy Bible.
Yes, you can.
Download it.
YouVersion. There are a lot of different places where you can get what's the one that you I think
Olive Tree?
No, I'm trying to think of the one that when you just Google something, it comes up, as opposed to YouVersion, which is an app.
Just
you get on
Google
your
the
phone.
just Google Bible.
Yeah, you'll find it. You'll find it everywhere. It's all over the place. Every version.
We're
you can
not
want.
being paid to tell you this.
Yeah, there's no money in selling Bibles. Okay. We're not.
It is the #1 bestseller.
I mean,
Has been for a long time. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of different factors that go into why this happens, right? Even spiritually, there are things that happen. I think part of it is people love power, right? And they want to maintain it, and they want to maintain control. There are people out there that think they know better than everybody else, so they want to maintain control, which is why, as you said, Adam, make sure to keep you away from this, right? And tell you as much as they can that this is myth and it's fantasy and it's unbelievable. And it's
Bigotry.
not reliable.
yeah, it's masculinity, toxic masculinity, and all that. Yeah.
But the other thing that people love, and the Bible talks about this too, is money. There's a lot of money
Agreed.
to be made in these various things, and this goes back even to what we're talking about today. Part of the reason that journalists and politicians get together is because there's a lot of money to be made, right? If you look at the Mexican-American War, so I'm going to get us back on track here. Again, we have this split, right, between the Democrats under Polk and the Whigs, which are the soon-to-be Republicans under Lincoln and Henry David Thoreau, for instance. And they were accusing the Democrats of trying to expand, using this conflict to expand slave-holding territory. Okay, and the press on the Democratic side, pushed one narrative, and the press on the other side pushed this other narrative. But because there were much more Democrats at the time, they kind of really drowned this out, and as a result, we went to war with Mexico on pretty slim pretenses, okay, under Polk's kind of manifest destiny idea, and as a result, a lot of people made a lot of money, right? This is where the idea of war
It's like every
profiteering,
war.
Did
comes into place here. If you go back and look at this, these war contractors were selling everything they could to the government to that they could possibly need at highly inflated prices, way overpriced. Whether you're talking about uniforms or weapons or food or vehicles or anything like that, way overpriced. And again, the people who bore the cost of this were us, ordinary folk. Soldiers died. People's bank accounts were drained, from the paying for these things. And the other place that suffered was Mexico, right? I mean, they weren't prepared for a war with the United States at that time. And as a result of this, do you know what we took from Mexico as a result of this war?
California.
What else?
Gold?
Territory-wise.
New Mexico.
Yes, what else?
Arizona.
Yes, what else?
Texas.
No. Texas was its own country at that point.
State. Texas was
Utah?
its own state. Colorado.
Utah, yes, what else?
Colorado.
Yes, what else?
Nevada.
Yes, what else?
Hawaii.
No, nothing. There's only one left. You've only missed one.
One state?
You're only missing one state
Oh.
out of the list
Hold
here
on.
that I have of what we took from Mexico as a result of this war.
I'm putting them together. I feel like that meme with the lady in the math. It's New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Wyoming.
Wyoming, you're right. California, Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona, most of a good chunk or most of New Mexico, and large portions of Colorado and Wyoming are what we took from Mexico as a result of this
Wyoming,
conflict.
Wow, I didn't know it was that far north.
Yeah, so
Huh?
Mexico was at one point a much larger country than it is today.
Wow.
Right? So Micah 2 verse 1 and 2 say, "Woe to those who plan iniquity and covet the fields, and they covet fields and seize them." That's what they were doing, right? You're talking about the Bible knows all this stuff, right? Micah was warning about this. Watch out for those who do this, because they're going to take your fields. They're going to take your land. That's exactly what we did. We went to war with Mexico under some shady pretenses, and we took most of their country.
You say shady pretenses. Do you have any details on that?
I don't have all the details about that. No,
We didn't. They didn't crash into our towers.
No, nothing like that. No,
Okay.
No. They were just in our way. They were just in our way. Right?
I laugh,
But
but I
that's-
shouldn't laugh.
That's not just American history. That's all history,
Right.
like the
Oh,
Crusades.
I'm not saying, obviously one way or the other, it was going to happen sooner or later. And America was going to go from coast to coast. That was, I think that, again, I think that was probably God ordained too, in a particular way. God has a plan for America of some kind, and I think that's why we prosper, despite the fact that we are wicked in other ways. Because every country's wicked. There's no pure and holy country out there, right? So I'm not saying that America is particularly bad or worse than other countries. I'm just saying we're not lily white either, right? And it's on us as citizens, right, to be watching out for this. And the press is the arm of the people that's supposed to be the watchdog for all this. That's why they have freedom, right? That's why they get to go places and do things and ask questions and have access to places that most people don't have, because they're supposed to be watching these things. But instead, they come into alliance, right, with the government, and then everybody makes money. That's how it goes. And that's still the way it goes today, right?
Ugh. It's terrible.
You guys remember the term yellow journalism?
No, remind?
Real journalism, the idea that the newspapers at the time that this was going on would deliberately lie,
Oh, yeah, well, I know.
right?
Yeah.
Never.
So it got the name yellow journalism, right? I don't know why they call it yellow journalism, but that's where it came. That's the name of the term, and it really reared its head around the turn of the century of 1900, 1898, thereabouts, in the Spanish-American War. One of the most famous incidences about the destruction of the USS Maine in a harbor in Cuba, and how it was probably an accident that sank that ship. An explosion in its magazine that caused it to sink. But William Randolph Hearst wanted a war. So did Joseph Pulitzer. They wanted a war, so they used that incident and just lied about it and said that the Spanish deliberately sank the Maine, right? And under those pretenses, we started a war with them. And again, people made a lot of money. War profiteers made a lot of money. Politicians made a lot of money. Journalists like Hearst and Pulitzer made a lot of money. I don't think necessarily the reporters and things are making a lot of money. It's the guys who own these things.
Pulitzer, as in Pulitzer Prize?
Yes.
Oh.
Imagine that.
Funny.
Yeah.
Where lots of money is.
In fact, William Randolph Hearst said, "You furnish the pictures, and I'll furnish the war." That's what he told this newspaper, right?
Wow.
Go out and get me the pictures. I'll make the war. And then it was just by lying. It's just out and out lying about it, right? What makes us think that's not happening today?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Right. You think?
Any of the two prominent news stations, it's all a lie.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything anymore. Bottle of water?
don't either.
Yeah, right. There's something else in there.
Now the Bible warns against this, right? Exodus 23 verse 1 says, "Do not spread false reports," right? That's what we do, or that's what they did.
Well, that's what AI is. There's so much AI slop now.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh, yeah.
You
Like
can't-
all the articles.
I mean, it's still pretty obvious, but imagine in 10 years.
Oh yeah.
And the reels or TikToks, like the bunnies jumping on the trampoline. Have you seen that?
I've seen a lot.
It's like, and people are commenting, "So cute, I can't." And I'm like, how many people believe this? It's
Right.
crazy. It's clearly AI.
Well, imagine older people with horrible eyesight. You know?
Not even that. Just older people.
Well,
Or just gullible people who just,
Yeah.
oh, look at that. But some of the AI art's really creepy too.
Oh, I know. Or like the kid riding the golden retriever. I'm like, that could not happen.
yeah, well,
No, that dog. No, if you saw the video, that dog would break its back. Like a kid cannot. It needs a saddle. It might have been believable if the kid had a saddle.
Oh, come on. I haven't seen this video. I have to look for that.
well, we need to buy a saddle for a dog.
Oh, jeez.
I got her a tactical vest, my golden retriever.
Goggles, helmet.
Really?
But I got her
Little
shoes.
mole pouch for the back.
Oh,
We
really?
bought all that.
Wow.
I'm sitting on the
Nice.
couch having coffee, and I see on my phone an email. Thank you for your order for your dog helmet and sunglasses. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Okay, sorry, we digress.
It's really cute though. So I bought her shoes.
Yeah, we see this happen again, the same kind of thing happening in World War I, right? Under Woodrow Wilson, when he formed his Committee on Public Information under a man named George Creel, who flooded the country with, again, pro-war propaganda, right? And also used this Sedition Act that they passed to lock up his dissenters. And you, again, became illegal to speak against the war in this particular case. Right? You couldn't do that. But here's what's interesting. Think about this. World War I, right? You got, say, a banking house like J.P. Morgan. Right? You're
Just
laughing.
random kids.
Just random J.P. Morgan's out there. J.P. Morgan. Now, what did they do at the beginning of the war? They loaned a ton of money to Britain and France. A ton of money. They loaned it to them, right? So when it looked like Britain and France were about to lose, right, which was how things looked in 1916, right? Germany was winning. And there was a good chance that something could happen. What do you think J.P. Morgan did?
Ask for their money back?
Switch sides?
No, they started pushing for America to join the war.
Mm.
America was very much against the war at that time. They were isolationists. The American people were. They didn't want to get involved in the war. They said that's Europe's war. We don't need to get involved in that. Who cares if the Germans or the French or the English? Who cares,
As it should be.
right? But
The bank was the,
the
one who got 'em
the
involved.
bankers started leaning on the politicians or buying the politicians, right? They started flooding the country with this pro-war propaganda, because Wilson wanted to be in the war too. Right? That was part of his agenda, because he wanted to use that to start forming his world government, the League of Nations, that they were calling it at the time. So he was also on board with all of this.
Was this NATO?
Plus, all the industrialists were wanting to be part of this, because, you know, England and France were running out of money, so they weren't buying as much stuff, and they weren't able to get the loans that they were getting to, you know. So what would happen was J.P. Morgan or these banking houses would loan money to Britain and France, who then would send the money back to America to buy steel and munitions and these things, so they could, you know, keep the war going. So it was a pipeline of money going back and forth. And when they started to lose, they're like, no, we need to join the war. And eventually that's what happened, right? We ended up in World War I because the Wilson administration aligned the press and finance and industry to all want to support the war effort. And anyone who dissented was thrown in jail under this Espionage and Sedition Act. And as a result, people made a lot of money. And ordinary citizens like you and I paid the price in our taxes and in our lives. And obviously, we weren't alive then, so we didn't have to do that. But our great-great-grandparents went through this process, right? And they were just like we're being fleeced of our money by our government now. They were fleeced of their money and they lost their liberty. Even if they didn't get jailed, they lost their liberty, their ability to speak out against the government for fear that they would be thrown in jail. It's been going on, and it's still going on today. It's all about, like you said, money and the spiritual warfare. Proverbs 17, verse 23 says, the wicked accept bribes in secret to pervert the course of justice. And that's what happened here. Right? So we have
So
this.
who was selling weapons to who?
America was selling weapons to Britain and France.
And that's whose side they were on.
At the time, we were neutral.
Right.
But as they started to lose, then they wanted us to join the war. These bankers and financiers wanted us to join the war to make sure they didn't lose their investment.
Okay.
Right? Because they wanted to get paid back.
Where do they stand today with Russia and Ukraine?
Same place.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Right? The same place. We've been loaning money to Ukraine like crazy.
He should build a bunker? I'm just kidding.
Thankfully, in this particular case, we have a president, unlike Wilson, who wanted war. Right? We have a president who I truly believe, one thing I believe about Trump is he does not want war.
I hope that's true. I don't know what to believe anymore, but I do hope that's true.
I do believe that's true. I've never seen him. He strong arms people, but he's never said, you know. I mean, obviously he could have escalated a lot of these conflicts at this point. Yet instead, I mean, he brought some peace to the Middle East in his last term. He hasn't escalated things in Iran or in Israel. He did attack Iran, right, and take out some facilities that they thought were dangerous, but that was it. And he also gave them firm warning. He said, you have 60 days to stop this. They chose not to, and on day 61 he bombed them. I think that's showing great restraint, right? He has fought with the Houthis, but only to the point of keeping the Red Sea open for commerce and trade. I'm not trying to puff the guy up or saying he's the best thing since Jesus or anything like that, but I do believe that he's, unlike Wilson, he's not someone who wants to see the country go to war. I think he thinks war is bad for business, especially his business, which is real estate, right?
Yeah.
He's not a manufacturer or an arms dealer or anything like that. He's a real estate guy. And
I do hope all that's true. I absolutely do. But at the same time, I'm scared that, like, you're hearing all of it from the media. So
Right.
what are they feeding us?
Right.
We don't
Well,
really know unless we pray about it, I guess.
And the other thing that's nice about media today, that we have, and one advantage we have over media today, is we can hear directly from a lot of these politicians. Like Trump, he puts stuff out, right? He puts it out on True Social. He puts it out on X.
If we can trust him.
Yeah, if we can trust him.
Best thing to do is like cross-reference to what they've said before, right? So,
It's just really hard to figure out the truth, is all.
Yeah,
I mean, you have Democrats today criticizing Republicans for stuff they're on recording saying, they're on video. It wasn't that long ago. You know, it's not like we didn't have technology 30 years ago to
right.
record things. And, you know, when COVID hit, Trump was vaccine, let's get it done. And now he's like, I want you guys to prove that the vaccine works.
That was huge. Was that today or yesterday?
It was recent, one of the
It was
best.
either yesterday or today. That was huge. His walk back on warp speed, because he's been really, that's something he's stood on hard. And for him to roll that back, I think it was yesterday, but that's either yesterday or today, to walk that back even even the little bit that he did, I think is a big step towards us finding out, hopefully, what really happened.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't. I mean,
I really don't
I
think we'll ever
hope-
find out what the real truth is.
yeah, for anything, like either side. Like, there's a lot of yellow journalism.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Like
like
with the
vaccine,
Epstein. Oh, go ahead.
with the vaccine, for instance, I remember watching the news every day in 2019, and he was very, during that election, we're going to get a vaccine out, blah, 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 blah. And then Biden was like, we're not going to make people take the vaccine. And then when he took office, it was like opposite.
Right.
And then now he takes office, and now it's opposite again. Like
Didn't Kamala say during the campaign, "There's no way I'll take that Trump vaccine," and then as soon as they were in office, bam,
So I'm just
everybody's got to
saying-
take the vaccine.
both sides, you don't know the truth, and that's so hard to figure out.
Yeah, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
We will never
So I
know.
like pray a lot about it.
Maybe our great grandkids might know, right?
Maybe.
As these things come out,
But I would love to watch those documentaries that come out
like that 50
in the future
50 years from
about
now,
all this. Yeah,
100 years from now, about the great COVID-19.
yeah.
Depends on who wins the war.
That'd probably
Right,
be awesome.
yeah.
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 So here's how this works, right? As we go through this, I see it anyway. The press starts this by inflaming what's going on, right? Through lying, through yellow journalism, through division, through puffing things up,
Manipulation.
So they do that, right? And as a result of that, the government gets to act. Right? The press inflames people, inflames the situation. The government comes in and gets to act in a way that is contrary to liberty. Right? That's our baseline here. We're talking about our liberties, right? So they come in a way that can impact or take away or remove our liberties, whatever they are.
Right.
Our freedom of speech, our freedom of assembly, our whatever those things are, freedom of religion,
Rights.
all those things, right? And as a result of that, industry and bankers make money.
Yeah.
Right? And it starts the whole thing all over again.
And
they
then-
take that money and they keep putting it back into the press to keep them inflaming, to keep the government working, to keep the financiers and the industry going, and just on and on and on and on it goes. It's like a tumbleweed or a snowball, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, right? And the truth and the people are left behind. Right? We don't, like you said, we may never know the honest truth. I mean, there are things we still don't know the truth about. Even things that aren't all that important, like what really happened in Vietnam.
Yeah. You would have to have a time machine, and you would have to personally go back
Be a
and
fly on the
witness it.
wall.
Witness it, you know? That's the only way you will ever know the truth.
Right.
So we're never going to find out. Because it's all going to be hearsay, and
That's what
it's
they
all
do.
going to sound perfect, right? All these stories that they come up with, this
It's a
makes
weather
sense.
balloon.
And,
Weather balloon, yeah.
we did this because we were saving the people, and, that's why the Bible's so different. It's like, we sucked so bad and screwed up every single
yeah.
time, and
And like he was saying during Bible study, like if they did all these things because they really believed it. They had the faith.
Yeah. You
And
don't
they knew
die
horrible things were
for
gonna
something
happen.
that you know
Yeah,
is fake,
they
Right.
had the faith.
you know, unless you've been completely brainwashed your whole life
Right.
and
And
you
they
have no
hadn't.
chance, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was, yeah, they were true believers. They saw Jesus, they saw what happened, and they went out to tell everybody about it, because they were just, that's how moved they were. And this whole process continues on into the 40s, right? In the World War II era, you know, we have Roosevelt and his administration completely curating wartime news, right? That we see during World War II, reporters much more embedded into the war, right? Photographers, reporters going out with the troops into the you know, at least the rear areas, if not all the way to the front lines, really for the first time, right? Yet most of those images, even today, are still classified. We haven't seen a vast majority of those images or seen those writings because they were deemed unhealthy or not something that the Roosevelt administration wanted the people to see.
They had to have all the people for the war.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have a revolt on their hands
Right.
because they were in such a bad recession because of it.
Right.
Everybody was having to make sacrifices. Women were having to go to work in factories.
They were making apple pies out of Ritz crackers only.
True enough,
Can you
huh?
imagine?
And crab apples.
Sure.
And no sugar, because the sugar was rationed.
So they
So
had to
yeah,
have the media double down on their rhetoric.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that there's this cozy relationship now between reporters and officials. They're in bed together, basically, you know, with the same agenda. Meanwhile, during what this is going on, we see the birth of what we now call the military-industrial complex, right? That's where this was kind of born, right? The most egregious example of this I could find, as far of this cozy relationship between officials and the press, was Operation Paperclip. Have you guys heard about this? Heard what this is?
I may have, but remind.
This was after World War II. You remember that you've heard of the Nuremberg trials, right? Where we took all these Nazi officers and officials and stuff, put them on trial,
Oh, I think so.
and locked them up and executed them and did all these things.
And then took the scientists for
Except
ourselves.
the Operation Paperclip, which was 1,600 German scientists and engineers, who many of them were Nazis, right? Many of them were proven to have used slave labor in their research in concentration camps, but instead of being tried as war criminals, like their brothers were, who were maybe in the Wehrmacht or in the Luftwaffe or wherever, they were actual soldiers
They said, "Come work
or
for
flyers.
us."
Instead of being tried as war criminals, instead they got into basically the witness protection program of America and brought over here and given jobs. You know, the most famous of these was Werner von Braun. I think I said that right.
And today they're dropping off bricks at riots.
Yeah.
It's
You know?
those people, isn't it?
Yeah. Who built V-2 rockets with concentration camp labor, and later on came to and worked at NASA and built our rockets that got us to the moon, supposedly. I don't even know what to say about that anymore.
I mean, the technology in the 60s, it was the 60s, right, was like top notch, but somehow they just forgot how to do it
Yeah,
and can't go back,
yeah.
allegedly.
Very weird, huh?
It's very
Yeah.
strange.
It's too cold.
Too cold.
It must be.
Too much
yeah.
radiation, whatever.
Too much gravity.
But the press at the time, because of this cozy relationship they had, just sanitized the whole story and just presented these men as brilliant scientists who were helping America, not as Nazi war criminals with blood on their hands. Truth was pushed aside because we wanted a Cold War advantage, right? And the media just played right along with it. Didn't have anything to say. Psalm 101 verse 7 says, "No one who practices deceit will dwell in my house." Right? And that's where we're at now. And again, the Bible talks about this stuff. You know? In the 50s, it continued. With McCarthy, for instance, and his accusations of communism that dominated the press, to the point where people lost their careers, lost their jobs, lost their status, maybe even went to jail not because they were ever accused of anything, ever arrested or tried or stood in front of a jury or a judge or anything like that, but simply because there were headlines in the press, right? That's all it took. Courtroom verdicts were out the window during this era. All it took was a newspaper to say, "You're a commie,"
It's a witch hunt.
right?
They got canceled.
Basically, right? And you're right. You see the same thing today. This stuff just continues on. It continues on. It's like we're stupid or something.
That's it.
It's like
exactly.
whoever is running it knows how the human mind works.
Yes.
To the point where they will do what they
That's
can.
why the media goes first in all these operations. The media goes first because you can't do anything without the will of the people. And that's what they have got locked down, is how to sway the will of the people. Yeah. I think that's what the Pharisees had done. They were kind of in a weak position, but they were still had control over the people through, it's a little bit different than the media of today, but when you have that mob mentality and it's, no one is brave enough to stand up and say, this is all BS,
Well, it's like, it reminds me of a cult because they all shun you if you aren't accepted. That's what cancel culture does. If the mob doesn't accept you, you're done. You don't have friends or family or whatever,
Right.
It's like a cult mentality,
Yep.
in my opinion.
And we see it again in the 60s and 70s, with Vietnam, the Pentagon Papers, Watergate. These things are, again, they're either hidden by the government and aided by the press. In the case of the Pentagon Papers or what was going on in Vietnam. Watergate, again, we see the power of the press to frame guilt before anything even happened. I'm not saying, that what Nixon did was right or wrong. I'm not trying to judge that at all. But we definitely saw the power of the press there. He was tried in the press, right? Before he ever got even a chance to stand in front of a jury or a judge or Congress or anything like that, right? He was railroaded out through the press to where he just finally, the pressure was so great he had to end up having to resign before he even got a chance to defend himself, right? And that was the press doing. We see here maybe some truth revealed, but always filtered through the agenda of these people, the agenda of the politicians, the publishers, the banking houses, these various people curating this information so we only get what they want us to get. It continues on. You think about things like insider trading, right? You laugh. It's a terrible scandal,
it's the worst type.
right?
Because it's not like they're working off of their belief system. It's not like they're serving the greater good. They're serving themselves at the cost of other people.
Right.
I just don't get how politicians are allowed to participate in the stock market.
Well,
Because it's a
Because
conflict
they want
of
to be.
interest.
Well,
They're
Like,
the ones that make the laws.
Yeah.
I can't work for.
but it wasn't them. It was their husband or their nephew,
Or
or
yeah.
their son.
I'm just saying, I can't work for Costco and Sam's Club at the same time because they're like, it's a conflict of interest, right?
Right.
For example. But you can be a politician and own stocks of companies
Right.
and then change laws to make those stocks higher. That should not be allowed, in my opinion. Should not.
And this has gotten so bad now in this starting in the 90s, for instance, where we're not only seeing a cozy kind of relationship between politicians and journalists, we're actually seeing familial relationships, right? People marrying, politicians marrying journalists, journalists marrying
gosh.
politicians, right? We see this happening now.
Now, are they doing it out of love or are they being betrothed?
And who knows, right?
Like,
But these people are making a lot of money. Think about the Kennedys.
yeah.
Right? They made a lot of money doing basically insider trading, right? the Bidens, again, Joe Biden, working Joe, working class Joe, was in the Senate for 50 years. A senator makes okay money, but not that kind of money. Not buy 5 houses on the East Coast and have millions and millions of dollars in the bank.
They all do, though.
This is I just had a thought. Samuel was the first prophet.
Samuel was, he was the last judge, the first prophet.
And biblical prophecies are pretty much always spot on.
Oh, yeah.
The difference, let me say this. When the Jews demanded a king, like the rest of the nations, Samuel didn't like that.
No.
God didn't want that. He said, I'm your king. If you obey me, then you will be fruitful, whatever.
Right.
We have the first prophet appear because it's inevitable. If you're going to take this path, these people are going to tell you exactly what the future is going to hold.
Right. Moses did that for the Israelites. He told them all the way back in the book of Deuteronomy. It was basically his last sermon. He said, if you get a king, this is what he's going to do. He's going to take your land, he's going to take your daughters, he's going to blah, 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 blah. He's going to put you in his army, he's going to do all these things. That's exactly what happened.
It's like an algorithm. It's bound to happen. Mm-hmm. People are so amazed when all these things actually come true. It's like, why are you surprised?
Yeah, it's all right here. And there are other examples I have here of insider trading and nepotism and these kind of things, but it's rampant. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's so rampant, the Pelosi's the one that come to mind. Right?
No.
That actually, Congress finally passed what they call the Pelosi Act to restrict. Yeah, that's what
They
they call
called it that?
The Pelosi Act to restrict congressional insider trading. So finally, somebody did something about it.
Wow.
Right? I don't know how strong this thing is, or if it'll pass. If it'll pass the Supreme Court, but that's what they did. Micah 3:11 says, "Her leaders judge for a bribe, her priests teach for a price, and her prophets tell fortunes for money. Yet they lean on the Lord and say, Is not the Lord among us? No disaster will come upon us." Right? And that's there we are again. Right? That's a timeless verse. Our leaders cloak themselves in this legitimacy, but they're corrupted by money and excess. Right? And that's part of that gerrymandering we were talking about just a little bit last week. That they just, once they're in for life. Mm-hmm. They're locked in. It's bipartisan. It's both sides are playing this game.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Trump
true.
has all his kids on. Trump hired all of his kids, right?
In his first term, yeah, he had a bunch of them in there, yeah. And it's systemic. It's just part of the system. Yeah. It's how they control you. It's
I don't like it.
You get in, you start making the money, and they say, well, you got to play ball. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep this going, you got to play ball. It's just part of it. It's what they say. It's a feature, not a bug, right? Mm-hmm. The truth is for sale, and liberty erodes. And again, the people like us are the ones that pay the price for this. Mm-hmm. We can't do insider trading. First of all, if we even tried, they'd arrest us.
And it's not a family business. It's the country.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. It's not the country. It's the people.
It's not
we, the people.
Yeah.
For the people.
Right.
Not the country taking advantage of the people and lying to them so that the people who run the country can get their way.
Mm-hmm. And even up to today, we see this, right? We got big tech, we got big media, we got big government, all in cahoots together, right? They're all pointing in the same direction, and they all want the same thing, right? It's homogenous at this point.
They want to be gods.
Yeah.
Gods among men.
And they move from one to the other, right? If you're in big media, You lose a job there, you're gonna go to big tech. From big tech, you're gonna go back to big media. If you're in the government, especially if you're in the bureaucracy, not necessarily an elected official, but you're in the bureaucracy, you move right through these things. They're swimming in the same waters. It's like one big ocean of corruption that all these people are swimming through, whatever they are. You know, you like I said, you move from tech to media to government, back to tech, back to media, and all around. You can see it all the time. None of this is a mystery really. But again, we're so divided, and we're all in our little bubbles. And it's hard to break out of your bubble. The algorithm you were talking about, you know, very much curates what you will see.
Yep.
And it's hard to break out, even if you deliberately try. Sometimes you don't even know what to look for. And if you don't have a friend like you had who would tell you about a story, you know, thank goodness you had a friend like that who would. I assume that this person's probably not politically aligned with you. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I mean, she definitely leans more left.
Right.
But yeah.
So, yeah, you're still friendly enough to be able to swap stories.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm friends with anybody. I don't care what they believe in.
But
But I hope
that
that they
tends-
treat me like that too. You know, treat
that
people
tends
the
to
way
be
you want to be
true
treated.
as you read the data. That tends to be more true on the right than the left. People on
I
the
feel
right,
like I'm in the middle.
people on the right are more likely to have friends that lean toward the left than people on the left are that go toward the right.
I can see that.
That's very much a thing, right? So that you have a friend that's kind of on the left that's willing to come and talk to you about these things. That's a treasure, right?
But I don't know if I should say that. I don't vote.
Well,
I've tried.
I
And what do
think
we
what
see-
they do with the division, part of the algorithm is there's topics over here that have to be separated from this, right? So you got control and fear and, you know, the compassion of one side and if you separate them all in by certain categories and you divide them in a way that you keep the ones that will be very useful together to persuade people separate, then there's no way that either side can do anything because they'll be too busy fighting amongst themselves in order
Keep 'em
to unite. So that's why they've got all these dividing philosophies and
So I would like to unite people.
well, that's the thing.
That's my
It's
goal.
funny to think there might be something out there, a different algorithm
Funny cat videos. I'm just kidding.
that's probably in there somewhere. But there probably is an algorithm that you could use that would unite all people.
Yeah. But they will never do that.
Well, I
Keep
mean,
you
how
busy
many
about
people
what's really going
on both sides haven't read it? I mean, it's right there. It's always been right there. God's never far from you, if
Right.
you know.
Here's your algorithm you're
Yeah.
talking about, right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
Yep.
And what do we see today from these things? We see the same thing: influence peddling, suppression of dissent, fact checking for hire, right? I mean,
Pay me to agree with you.
I can't believe that Wikipedia is still a thing.
I know.
You know, come on. Oh yeah, we're gonna let anybody.
Anyone can edit that, right?
Right. That's what I mean. Anybody, we're gonna let anybody edit our stuff. It's like, come on. But people still use it. It's still when I Google something, and sometimes I still use Google, right? And I'll Google something, a person or a company or something like that, and the first thing that pops up, especially on my Apple devices, is a
It's
Wikipedia.
always Wikipedia.
Is a Wikipedia article. I'm like, I'm not clicking on that.
I mean, I do if I'm like, was that guy in Alien? And then I look up, I'll click it to see if
Okay,
it's an
well
alien. I mean, that's
maybe
an
for something
example,
like
but,
that. But
you know,
I'm not gonna.
celebrities.
Well, you know they're not going to roll the dice on being wrong about actors in movies because then that really discredits them,
Right.
right? So they're going to have tons of information that's true.
But
Who funds them? If it's all written by people,
I'm not gonna read
how
my
do they get
handing on
Google
there.
to put them number one? That's got to be the most expensive spot on the internet is
Right.
number one for Google.
It doesn't even, at least on like my iPad here, when I do that, it doesn't even come up on, it just comes up as like its own thing.
Yeah.
Just, here it is, click, it's just a Wikipedia box. It's not even, you can't even see the search results. You have to clear that to get to the search results. It's like, it's crazy. And I'm like, why would you push this BS on me? You know?
What is Wiki? Wiki. What is that part of it? I know encyclopedia, right? Back when they used to have, when they wrote stuff on trees. But what is Wikipedia? What is Wiki?
I don't know where Wiki came from.
I think W is probably web and Ipedia.
Does it
but I
have
don't
any
know what the
relation with like
IK.
WikiLeaks? Or
No,
was
it
that a
around before
spin-off
that.
of Wikipedia?
WikiLeaks was a spin-off of Wikipedia.
Okay.
That was around for way longer.
WikiLeaks?
No, Wikipedia.
Wikipedia's been
yeah.
around. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right. Wikipedia's been around pretty much since the beginning of,
Since
as
the
far as I remember,
Google.
like probably since 2000, I would think. Yeah,
It's been a long
yeah.
time.
And it used to be. I mean, it used to be interesting to. I mean, that's one of the first things one of the places you would go. You could go early on the internet to get information because there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
But then as people got a hold of it and started editing it, and it's like pretty soon you're like, well, I don't know if I can believe this article about Edgar Allan Poe or Mark Twain or Julius Caesar or whatever.
Don't make me one.
Let's make a Carla Wikipedia page. Let's make her a rock star.
My best friend's second cousin, twice removed, his great-great-uncle said this about this person. Trust me.
Oh man. I like what Isaiah had to say about this kind of thing. He said in Isaiah 59, truth has stumbled in the streets and honesty cannot enter.
That's how I feel.
You know?
I feel like if you say something that you know is true, it's just going to be heck to pay.
Yeah. So who do we rely on for information anymore? Anybody?
No.
The Bible.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, the Bible's a great place for wisdom and that kind of thing, but it's not going to tell us what happened on Epstein Island,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not going to tell us what's happening in the boardroom of Burisma.
it does give you wisdom and insight, right? So the whole world was screaming for how long for Epstein list?
Oh,
And
years.
only now are all the victims coming forward saying they have their own list. Slap them. Slap them for not saying anything sooner.
Right.
You would have heard something. One media outlet would have taken it and ran if they had anything.
Oh, for sure. If there's anything in there about Trump, Biden would have used it. Harris would have used it. If there's anything in there about Biden, Trump would have used it.
They're all in there.
You know.
That's how I look at it.
It could be all in there, or there
I
could be
think they're
nobody
all
in
in
there.
there.
I don't know.
If there's nobody in there, they burned it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the CIA is a different country.
yeah.
It's not ours. CIA is above the country.
Sure. It's the deep state.
So they have it. They made it happen, so they had it. We're never going to know. And they need to keep that information for their leverage.
Right. How are they? Yeah. What you lose your leverage if you lose the control of all that information, for sure.
And you have people on the list functioning for them, knowing they're on it,
Yeah.
but they also know they're never going to get called out on it
Right.
because they're playing ball.
Yeah.
And that's where it ends. We should pray for those people coming forward, though.
We need
Yeah.
a superhero. Only there was such a thing, right? All right.
I'm too old. Too old to begin the training.
Yeah. closing, unless you guys want to keep going on this, in closing, a free press is essential for liberty. It really is. And the fact that we don't have a free press, or we have a very compromised press, our corrupt press, has proven to be deadly in a lot of ways. It's deadly in people's lives, deadly in our finances, deadly in our liberty. It really is. And history shows us that when journalists, politicians, and profiteers all get together, they don't serve the truth. They only serve themselves. Right? They serve their own power. They serve their own pocketbooks. The truth gets manipulated, and liberty really, in this particular, in this case I just described, liberty doesn't stand a chance. Mm-hmm. Right? Orwell said that. I just reread Animal Farm a couple weeks ago, and it's like, it's exactly what we're going through, right? You know.
That Barron Trump book that came out.
Have you read that? I haven't read that.
Yeah, we just got it, but we haven't read it. Yeah.
The Adventures of Barron Trump, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yep, where his father Don is the president and is going to be the last president.
The last president, right?
And Don had issues with the Secretary of State because she was out to get him, and they were enemies. And this was
Did
written.
you read it or no?
Pieces of it. I didn't read the whole thing. But yeah, it's just like they're talking about today's politicians and how Trump's going to be the last president. And if you look at the climate of everybody's like, it's a war going on right now.
Sure.
What's funny is the people who are against each other aren't even fighting each other. They're letting the people fight for them. And they're sending the people out to their deaths, fighting for causes they don't even know what they are.
Right.
You know?
Or they're just getting paid to protest.
Well, I think we'll get a lot into that next week.
Next time.
Because that's really what it boils down to is everybody out there doing these things are severely uneducated. Not only in, reading, writing, and arithmetic, but the way of humanity and the world and politics, and they're just uneducated because they've grown up with these in their hands, phones, screens. They haven't had a day where they just had nothing to do.
Right.
They've just been programmed since birth.
Honestly, I think most of them have never had to go buy groceries and worry about it.
Well, who's to say that? I mean, that's kind of... Well, now they're just going into debt to have it delivered.
Well, there's people that's happening to.
Anyways.
I think it's on us at this point, to, as best we can, to look at these headlines critically, whatever it is. Like you said, I don't know who to trust. We don't trust anybody at this point. Look at them critically, dig for the truth as deep as we can, measure it against Scripture, right? Because Scripture speaks into all these things. I think I picked out some good verses today to kind of highlight that. And what we need to be, like I talked about in the Bible study today, we have to be determined. We have to be resolute. We have to refuse, as best we can, to be manipulated by these people who profit from these lies, right? And that's what we are. That's what we are as a country. We're being manipulated by these people who lie to us. The truth is really on trial, not only out there in the environment, but really inside of us as well. We have to decide to seek the truth, and that's going to be, like we've been talking about all night tonight. It's going to be measured by what's going on inside of this book right here. If this book says it's true or not true, that is the fact. Right? You guys got any final words you want to say before I tease next week?
Any words, Carla, if that is your real name?
Just really think about what you're reading and pray about it.
All right. Next week on Underground Pulpit, we're going to step even further into this battle for the truth. We're going to step into a place where Adam was just talking about, and we've touched on it a little bit tonight, and that is education. Because really, whoever controls the classroom controls the future. From industrialists who wanted obedient workers, to progressives who wanted secular citizens, to modern fights over history and identity, the truth has always been contested at the chalkboard. Don't miss episode 11, Truth in the Classroom.
But I got trouble like you ain't never seen. I must have a million enemies. They're on their way to come and kill me tonight, but the Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. All my life I ain't done no good, till a preacher's wife told me what I should. She said, repent your sins, and when I asked her why, she said, the Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. The Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. The Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. She said, repent your sins, and when I asked her why, she said, the Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. Sit right down and I will tell the tale of how the walls in Jericho did fail. They gathered around it and let out this cry. They said the Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. He's the pillar of fire consuming everything. The one that Moses followed through the raging sea. Singing Pharaoh's men, they are close behind, but the Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. The Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. The Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. Singing Pharaoh's men, they are close behind, but the Lord is coming soon. Oh my, my. Coming soon, oh my, my. The Lord is coming soon, oh my, my. Pharaoh's men, they are close behind, but the Lord is coming soon, oh my, my. Lord is coming soon, oh my, my. The Lord is coming soon, oh my, my. She said, repent your sins, and when I asked her why, she said the Lord is coming soon. Oh my,